We will talk about what it takes to run your own recruitment agency. This is a topic that is asked by a lot of people who are either experienced or have no experience, which cracks me up because I have never met a single industry that is a professional service that is challenging, where people who have never done the job think that they're now qualified to run a recruitment firm. But here we are. There are plenty of people who have never been in recruiting who think that you can just Google your way into running a recruiting firm, apparently. And they want to know, how can I set up my recruiting firm? So here are my thoughts again of what it takes to run your own recruitment agency. And let's just say you can do it. Like, of course, in the world, if you want to do something, it is achievable. This is nothing that is like creating like a new chemical compound. It is not that complicated. But at the same time, running a recruiting firm is no joke. It's a serious business. So let's start off with the first ideal tip is that what you need to start a recruiting agency is you need to understand how to handle clients. Now, this is challenging because some people who think that they can run a recruiting firm have actually never serviced clients before. So that's kind of crazy to me. Servicing clients requires that you know how to deal with their objections, how to deal with understanding how they work with recruitment companies. If you have never serviced a company as their headhunter before, how do you even know what the contract terms should be? As in, what are guarantees and rebate periods? Even that alone confuses a lot of people. What about the representation period of when you submit a candidate? How much longer ago did they need to have been submitted so that you can now re-represent them? These simple things are gained through experience for the most part. Nobody just waltzes into running a recruiting firm and just knowing this stuff magically. A lot of us, it's a case-by-case subjective basis because maybe for a certain client, yes, you will have an X amount of representation period. For another client, you might have a different representation period and you might have different clauses. What are all the rebate/guarantee clauses that are possible? If you have never ever sold to a client or did a recruiting deal, how the hell would you know? The reality is people don't know. Even people who are doing recruiting may never have been given the authority to negotiate these contract terms because they're working as a split desk recruiter. So that brings me to my second point. Do you have experience actually sourcing high value candidates that are beyond what you're doing in your limited scope? Because a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, this works. It only works because you got a sales leader that pretty much set the game up for you. All you have to do is just find the candidates. It's the easy candidate market. Now, when you work on highly niche, high-end recruitment markets, you actually have to be extremely savvy on how you're going to get clients and candidates to engage with you. So let's say, for instance, executive search. I was doing deals at 6 figures a pop. Now, those people as candidates are extremely challenging because I was doing executive search and these people are VP level and above, up to C level, up to board member level. Now, how do those people speak? They speak quite a lot differently than a manufacturing operations engineer who works as a mid-tier professional. They're just a different caliber talent pool. So even as a recruiter, are you fully equipped to deal with the more senior, more challenging levels of talent acquisition, as in acquiring talent who are extremely difficult to approach, are highly intellectual, smarter than your average candidate? Because as you go up the food chain, the stakes go higher. Right? You're no longer dealing with a, warehouse worker. You're dealing with an actual, head of position. And those people have a lot of tricky questions and they're not going to trust just the regular recruiter because guess what? They've been in the business for quite some time. They have talked to quite a few recruiters. So they know who's the real deal, who's not the real deal. So number 2 is how much actual recruitment expertise and mastery do you have to deal with exceptional candidates that are really, really hard to find, really hard to win their trust and ultimately monetize those people? Right? Because that is how recruitment works. Number 2, do you know how to deal with the candidate side of the game? Number 3, is this what you want to do full time? A lot of people think that recruitment is just like a side hustle. It kind of isn't. It really is a main hustle because the work it takes to get candidates and to build yourself up as a go-to industry connection, as a go-to vendor, is quite a lot. So whether it's us over here at DG Recruit, where we're freaking pumping out content like the Dickens, or it's you cold calling, hustling, calling, this is a manual job. There is no such thing as lead generating your way through it. And the people who are peddling this false truth to you are liars. You think that if there was some easy pill that would get us millions of candidates, we wouldn't have already done it? And that's the crazy thing about recruiting, is that so many people who don't have recruiting experience and who are not global top billers go and say that they have this magical solving pill, this magical, candidate generation strategy that apparently all the other top billers are somehow not already leveraging. That to me is so arrogant, so hilarious, and it's just peddling medicine to the people who are ill and just want a cure-all. And the reality is there is no cure-all. Recruiting is very manual. You need to have lots and lots of time at your disposal to invest into this business in order to get what you want out of it. Because especially if you're setting up a brand, you have to do quite a lot of work to win market share. Because if you're a no-name recruiter, you'll find that it's very hard to control your candidates because you have no clout, you have no power, you have no presence in this space. If you're not treating this job as a full-time job and then some, if you think this is just some sort of hobby where people are just like making tens of thousands of dollars as a hobby, you got some news coming to you, right? You need lots and lots of time, energy, and diligence to run a recruiting firm. The next thing you need, number 4, is you actually have to have really strong sales abilities. Now, this is another thing that really boggles my mind. I talk to so many people who think that they can run a recruiting firm just because they know a technical space. Let me burst your bubble. Just because you are a software engineer does not mean that you are going to be a great recruiter for software engineers, because the skill set that it requires to be a software engineer is completely separate than what it takes to recruit for these people. So there is no correlation between technical knowledge and success rate of placing. There is no correlation, because the more important skill set is the sales ability. So if you are a super salesy software engineer, that's different. Wow, that makes you a freaking ultimate threat, right? And that's why you'll see some lawyers and some accountants who do the damn thing end up recruiting for the damn thing, and they kill the game. That's different. Those are people with professional sales skills, because in those businesses, sales skills are actually highly required. And then sometimes a salesy person will accidentally fall into a technical role and they're like, I hate this job, but I want to recruit for it, because the sales capability is there. They know how to speak. They know how to communicate with clients and candidates. And because they have that skill set, they're able to monetize that skill set into really killer good deals, because they know the space. Those people are the ultimate kings and queens. And that's why you'll see a lot of top legal recruiters actually come out of the legal space. That's a unique trend, right? Whereas for what I used to do, pharmaceutical recruiting, are you kidding me? Will you ever see a pharmaceutical guy or gal become a headhunter? Hell no. They're usually salespeople that are like me. They come from a different space and they just happen to recruit for the damn thing. There is one guy I can think of that actually is a PhD and recruits for executives, and he's not very salesy. Like, if I compete against him, I will win 9 times out of 10, because he is not salesy. He's not able to win the clients over and the candidates over the way he needs to. So technical skills is not that important. In fact, people who rely on technical skills fall into the weeds. They're so busy arguing over semantics that they're not really able to take a step back and win the search and actually suffice to fill this search, because they're too busy arguing with people about what's right and what's wrong and talking about the intellectual side of things, right? So that's something to be very careful about. Just because you know a space does not translate into direct recruitment excellence within the space. You still need to be properly trained in sales techniques. So here's a funny thing that also does happen in recruitment. For instance, salespeople who are SaaS salespeople, they end up doing pretty damn well in recruiting. because they understand sales techniques. They know how to communicate with people. All they have to learn is the specific lingo that us recruiters use when we're dealing with candidates, when we're dealing with clients. And once they learn that, they're good, because the sales skill is still very much prevalent. Right? So you need to be salesy in order to do this job, because it's a full-on client services role. You have to be salesy. Because if you're not salesy, you cannot convince anyone to do your bidding, to listen to you, to get whatever you want done, to understand your viewpoint, and to give you the offer that you want for your candidate, and vice versa, selling those offers to your candidates so that they feel comfortable that this is the right decision they're making to leave their role and join your client, right? So sales is a critical element of what we do. If you're not in a sales-facing role, then you cannot do this. Number 5, what you need to set up a recruitment firm is a lot of money. Recruitment is a game that takes a lot of time and effort to build your network. For the first 1 to 2 months, you may not get a single lick of revenue. If you do not have money, who is going to pay for your health insurance if you live in the United States of America, where we wonderfully do not have health insurance? So how are you going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for your mortgage or your rent? Who's going to pay for your food? Who's going to pay for your car bills? So there is an actual run rate of what it actually costs to run a recruiting firm, because you can rely on the fact that you will not be paid by your client for quite some time, because by the time the deal is done, you still will not get paid. The candidate has to start work, and then they have to succeed at work, and then the client might be an asshole and not pay you right on time. They may pay you 2 months after the candidate starts. So there's a bit of a lag before you get that 5-figure fee. God forbid your candidate drops, then you have to refund the fee to your client. So there's an actual financial cost that it comes with running a recruiting firm. The actual recruiting firm functionality in terms of running a firm is not expensive. I will definitely not lie to you about that. It's not expensive. Running a website costs $100 or less if you use Squarespace or one of those sites that help you do it. The actual cost of invoicing someone like QuickBooks is not expensive. The cost of running an LLC is not expensive. It's a one-time filing fee that you can get an accountant or do it yourself on something like InkFile. The cost of running a recruiting firm is not expensive. Your ATS, your applicant tracking system, also not expensive. But again, do you know how to use it, right? A lot of people don't ever recruit. They don't know how to run an ATS. They don't know how to properly code their candidates. So it's just crazy to me when people just want to start a recruiting firm and they don't know what they're doing. Or they follow some guru and the guru just tells them some random stuff and then they think it's going to work. You learn and earn on your own dime and time, which is stupid, right? Really what you should be doing is working for somebody else. Once you work for them, you learn and earn on their time and their dime, right? Because you're spoiling their money. You're having them pay you to learn the business, which is why a lot of top billers, myself included, we worked at a recruitment agency before we started a recruitment firm. You have to know if you like the damn thing or not. If you don't even like the job and 6 months into running a recruiting agency, you find out, oh shit, I don't even like this job. It's too damn late. It's too damn late. You've sunk all that time and effort. God knows what you've done to your career at that point. When you run a recruiting firm, you don't want to mess up. That's what I keep trying to explain to people. You don't want to F up on your own dime. It sucks. Don't do that to yourself. Why would you do that when you could work for somebody else and F up on their expense? That's what I did, right? I learned 5 years. I worked at another recruiting firm and I just freaking learned on and earned and messed up on their time, their dime, their brand. I didn't put it on myself. I'm representing their firm, so it doesn't matter. Like if I mess up on their behalf and oopsie daisies, you learn and you grow as a producer. I didn't learn and earn on and make myself embarrassed on my own brand, because by the time I set up my own recruiting firm, I am a master at the business. I know exactly how to do it, what to say, and how to represent myself as my own business owner, because I do not want to mess up. Once I started my own recruiting firm, I'm not going to go back and work for someone else. There is no fallback. There is no failure. That is not a viable option. So you have to have experience to do that. So back to my points again, not only do you have to have the money to pay for it all. You need the time. That's my last point, is you need to know that once you're in this business, you do not have an exit route because your resume is now ruined. You now have started an LLC that's failed, which only looks poorly on you. So you have no room for error. If you are somebody who's like, I don't want to work for another recruiting firm, that's fine. You will need to pay somebody else a lot of money for coaching because you cannot afford to keep messing up and learning and earning on your own dime and time. You are doing it wrong. I guarantee you, because if you haven't yet done this, you are learning this business the hard way on your own dime. You really need to engage with professionals. And it's not just because I'm touting my private coaching, although I absolutely am touting my private coaching because you need it. You need it. Like if you haven't run a successful recruitment desk in the past and you're running a recruitment firm, oh yeah, you're going to need some coaching. And the coaching's not going to come cheap because now you're learning and earning on your own dime and time. So you're going to have to pay your tutors. You're going to have to pay your mentors. They're not going to mentor you for free. What is this? Freaking Goodwill? It's not Goodwill. It's a business. You are paying us so that we can help you make money. This is not free. You're going to make money off of the education that I'm providing and other mentors are providing. So you really need to invest in that because you're not just going to figure this out. I mean, you might. It will take you a lot of time and you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And by that point, time, the most valuable essence, right? You are missing out on it because a lot of people just learn the hard way. We all do. We all learn the hard way. But we actually learned it the easy way because we worked for someone else first. And because we worked for someone else, we already figured out the game. So by the time we set up our own recruiting firm, we are pros. And the success rate is very, very high. And that's why my recruitment firm is successful. And I make 6 figures plus a year. And I live a very comfortable life because I know what the hell I'm doing. And I know it because I invested 5 years of my time making money for somebody else. And because I proved that over and over again to the tune of millions of dollars and being a sales leader, I was able to have that confidence to run my own recruitment firm successfully. So whatever the case may be, think about this. The last tip that I actually forgot I need to mention, if you have recruitment experience or not, you might be running a recruiting firm with somebody else. And I will tell you from my own personal experience, finding a trustworthy business partner is tough business. My own business partner was not very helpful, was not very hardworking, was kind of a mooch, and took a lot of money on his way out of my business. And when I closed my business out, I actually lost a lot of money because he shirked my trust and took a lot of money from me. And that's what happens. You might just be in business with the wrong person. Now I have the right business partner. I love my partner, Grace. She is trustworthy. She is not going to mooch off of my hard work. She actually works hard herself. And because I found the right business partner this time around, we are working at a much better clip of success, and we fully are comfortable, and we're free to do whatever we want and build whatever we like because we found the right person. And this is the sad part of running a recruiting firm. Sometimes you just happen to align with the wrong people. This is why, through the last 4.5 years of running my recruiting firm, recruiting recruiters, not only have I suffered finding the wrong business partners and the wrong staff that were not a fit and did not really help me long term, those people came and went. And you will see that when you look at other recruiting firms. You will see that they have come and gone. You'll see a recruiting firm is having a hot shot moment, and then 2 years later, they're out of business, or they broke up the partnership and they rebranded under another partnership. This happens quite a lot in our industry because you cannot trust people. If there's money involved, they will do what's best for them, and you can't blame them because that's human nature. You can only blame yourself for trusting the wrong people, which I have done in my life. Thankfully, it was short-lived, relatively speaking. 3.5 years is not that short, but at least now moving forward, I'm under the right structure. I'm with the right people, and I have the right approach to find success in this next leg of my experience as a recruitment entrepreneur. So these are the battle lessons and war stories that I learned on the ground, as boots on the ground. So you could be someone with recruiting experience or not, and you could put your trust in the wrong person. This is why it's critical to have mentors, to have trainers, to think critically and to do the tough things, because saying goodbye to a business partner is not easy work, and it sucks, and emotionally it's like the most draining thing I've ever experienced in my life, but it is the way it is, and that's just how things crumbled. And you just smile and move on, because that's all you can do in business and life. If you want to win, you got to keep going. Screw the people that screwed you over. F them. They're gone. Goodbye. Move on. Next. Keep going. Keep making that money, right? Because you don't have time to even wail or cry or mourn. You don't have time. You have customers to serve. You have business to attend to. So recruitment is not for the faint of heart. Anyone who thinks that it's an easy gig or it's a part-time job or that they can just learn it on the fly, you're underestimating how hard it actually takes to run a recruitment firm. This is fundamentally why recruiters get paid so much money still. We get 25 to 30 to 35% of every single deal because it is very hard work to run a recruitment business. If it was any easier, our fees would come down by the double-digit percentage points, and it has not. Real estate, on the other hand, is easy to do, which is why their fees are cheap, 5%. That's average to sell a house. Not for recruiting. Recruiting is 20 to 25 to 35% to run a deal because running a deal is hard work and it takes a lot of patience and effort to get paid. Don't underestimate this. If you do, you will find that it will be to your own detriment. So keep following the DG Recruit podcast. Keep following my YouTube channel and my other stuff. Now I'm really blowing up on TikTok. I just doubled my TikTok count. Let me know what you need me to talk about. Follow me on all the socials. Let's get connected and ask me any questions as they come up.